I went to the animal fair, the birds and the bees were there. The big baboon by the light of the moon was combing his auburn hair. The monkey fell out of the bunk and slid down the elephant's trunk. The elephant sneezed and fell on his knees, but what became of the monkey? Hello! Hi! Welcome once again to M5's English language learning program, Let's Speak English. I'm Gav Duncan and I'm here on your TV to help you learn English. Now, are you sitting comfortably? Yes? Good. And are you ready for today's lesson? Yes? Good. Okay, well, let's learn English together. All right, people, welcome to the studio once more. I'm here, you're there, so that must mean that we're ready to get started. All right, in that case, let me just ask, did you have a nice night last night? I know it was a Tuesday evening, but did you do anything special? Yes? No? If your answer was no, why not? Was it just that you didn't fancy doing anything special, or was there another reason? Is it possible that for a lot of you, the reason you didn't feel like doing anything last night is because you had a bit too much fun on New Year's Eve, and now you're in the process of recovering? Is that it? I know it's probably not the reason for most of you, but it might be the reason that some of you didn't go out last night. It might be the reason that some of you just sat on the sofa last night staring at the TV. And that's okay. I know what that feeling feels like. Plus, there's another reason for staying in, isn't there? Yes, that's right. There's still lots of food left over from Christmas. Yes, that's something that we all know about. When we cook and bake for Christmas, we normally cook and bake too much. And this means that we have a choice. We can choose to throw the food away, but that's a silly idea. Why throw good food away? That's daft, that's silly, that's stupid. I mean, if the food is still good, if it hasn't gone off, if it's still fresh, if it doesn't smell, if it still tastes good, if it hasn't spoiled, if it's not moldy, if it doesn't have bits of green mold starting to grow on it, green mold like this, then there's no reason to throw it out, is there? There's no reason to throw good food away. That would be a waste, wouldn't it? Yes, we'd be wasting food. So we can also waste other things, not just time and money. If we use something badly, we can say that we're wasting that thing. So, if you buy some petrol and then pour it into the street, then maybe you didn't waste your money when you bought the petrol, but now, when you're not using the petrol, but you're pouring it onto the asphalt, onto the pavement, in the street, you're wasting your money, you're wasting the petrol you bought. If you're in the desert and you don't have a lot of water, you have to make sure that you use the little water you've got in a sensible way. It's stupid and dangerous to waste water in the desert, isn't it, Dusty?
Lip balm?
Okay, so that was a good example of Dusty Bottoms wasting water. The two other amigos are almost dying of thirst, and Dusty just throws his nearly full canteen of water onto the hard, dry desert floor, where the water disappears into the cracked earth. Well done, Dusty. At least he offered them some lip balm, though. That stuff people put on their lips in the winter to stop their lips from drying out and cracking. At least that was nice of him. All right, so we know that we shouldn't waste our Christmas food. We bought the food, we paid good money for the food, then we took the food home and cooked and baked it. Again, we used electricity and gas, and we pay good money for those utilities too. Public utilities are the companies that provide or give us the services we need to operate our towns and city. So, they provide things like electricity, gas, water, sewage, telephone lines, rubbish removal, these sorts of things. And we call the services that the companies provide or give utilities to. So the companies are utility companies, and the things they provide, the things they give us, we call these things utilities too. So all of the things that we need to make the infrastructure of a house or a flat or an office block or a shopping centre or a village or a town or a city work, these are what we call utilities. And why am I telling you about it? I remember. When we were baking and cooking, we were using water, gas, electricity. We created rubbish which has to be taken away, and we pay for all these utilities. Well, most of us do. My friend Ferry doesn't though. His dad pays for his utilities. So, the point is again, not to waste things. We paid money for these things. The utility services that we used when we were cooking and baking. And now, if we throw our leftover Christmas food in the bin, then we're wasting lots of things. We're wasting food, good food that we should eat. We used electricity and gas and water too, and if we didn't use those things sensibly, then we wasted them too. Maybe the reason you stayed in last night isn't connected to food at all. Maybe the reason you stayed in last night is connected to something we often think about in connection with food. What do you think that is? What other thing do we often see in connection with food? Oh! What? No! No! What sort of a daft answer is that? 4? No, that's not the correct answer. Is there anybody else who wants to have a go? What is the thing we often see in connection with food?
Lip, nip, 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 nip.
What? What was that? That wasn't even English. Good God, people, try and get it together. Okay, one last time. What's the thing that we normally associate with food? What do we normally think of when we think of food?
Well, that's rather a personal question, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's not a personal question at all. Good grief. All right, forget it. Just forget it. Don't worry about trying to answer a perfectly simple question. Don't worry about it at all. Forget all the silly answers. 4, a personal question. Neep, neep, neep. Forget it. I'll tell you. That's a much easier solution. God. Okay. What we normally think of when we think of food is this. Drink. Food and drink, they go together like fish and chips, or rhubarb and custard, salt and pepper, knife and fork, thunder and lightning, bacon and eggs, food and drink. These words always go together. Bacon and eggs, knife and fork, fish and chips, rhubarb and custard, thunder and lightning, bread and water, and, as we've just discussed, food and drink. So that's why I was asking. Perhaps the reason that you didn't go out last night is connected to the drink part of the equation. Perhaps like Ivan and Yuri and the team, perhaps like Alfredo and Gordon last year, perhaps like lots and lots of people, you drank too much on New Year's Eve. And then, on the first day of the new year, you had a hangover. You were hungover. Do you remember those two forms of saying the same thing? When we're talking about someone who feels awful because they drank too much alcohol, we've got two ways that we can do it. We can either use the have or have got form, which we use to talk about possession. In the same way that we can say something connected to an illness, for example. He's got a cold. She's got mumps. I've got a sore throat. Now, we also know that we use these forms, using the verb to have or using the verb to have with got added, to talk about more general ideas of possession, of having something, of owning something, of something belonging to me or you or someone else. They've got a nice house. She has a very old car. We've got 3 dogs and 4 cats. And if you all remember, and I know that you all remember, we use the same form to indicate possession when we're talking about how someone feels after too much alcohol. He's got a hangover. Turn that music off! I have a hangover! Please leave her alone. She's got a hangover. Okay, so that's the first way that we can tell or inform people about this medical condition. But we can also use another verb, can't we? Yes, that's correct, Batman. We can also use the verb to be in combination with or together with the adjective hungover. So we have 2 ways of saying the same thing. Either we use the verb to have, or the more informal version, have got, and add the noun, a hangover, or we can choose to use the verb to be and use the adjective hungover to tell people that we don't feel too well. When we want to use the second method, when we want to use the adjective in combination with, together with the verb to be, then all we have to do is pick the correct form of the verb to be, depending on the subject. The correct form is either am, is, or are. We use am for the first person singular, I am. We use are for the second person singular, you are. We use is for the third person singular, he, she, or it is. And for the plural subject forms, it's easy. All of the plural forms use are. We are, you are, and they are. After that, well, all we have to do is add the adjective, hungover. You drank too much, you're hungover. The Prince of Wales drank 12 litres of Palinka last night. Now he's hungover. The Mav Symphony Orchestra drank all of the beer and wine, and now they're all hungover. So, perhaps the reason that you didn't go out last night, maybe your decision to stay in and watch TV, was connected to the fact that we've just finished the Christmas and New Year's season. And, as we all know, at this time of the year, most people eat and drink more than usual. This is why we normally gain weight. We put weight on at this time of the year. This isn't the same idea as the farmer fattening up the geese. No, when you fatten something up, it means that you deliberately decide to make that animal, normally an animal, fatter. You decide that you want the animal to be fatter, and so you give the animal more and more food. You fatten it up. But when we're talking about ourselves, then we don't use the same verb. It's not the same situation at all. When we eat too much, we become fatter, yes, but the verb we use is the verb to put on weight. We can also say to gain weight. If you eat more and more, you will put on weight. You will gain weight. You won't fatten up. That's something that farmers do to animals like geese and other animals. Farmers fatten geese and other animals up so that they can sell the animals for more money. Nobody wants to buy a skinny pig, do they? All right, and on that note, I'm going to leave you with a beautiful mental image of a skinny pig in your head. That's a strange idea, but a good way to end. Yes, people, it's time for me to head home and eat something. I'm not going to waste any of the leftover food we've got in the fridge. I'm going to have a turkey sandwich or a goose leg tortilla. Something nice anyway. So, there's only one thing left to say. Bye! I'll see you all tomorrow when we dive back into the world of English together. See you later, have fun, and don't forget www.mediaclick.hu with 2 Ks at the end. See you later, bye!